Have you ever noticed how when a man gets angry, people say, wow, he's passionate. But when a woman gets angry, wow, she's crazy, calm down, girl. One is a leader, the other is a problem. One gets promoted, the other gets silenced. Why is female anger so terrifying to people? Today, we are diving into that exact question through the lens of violence and justice. Violence is not limited to physical harm, but includes psychological, structural, symbolic, and legal forms of oppression. In feminist theory, violence encompasses any system, discourse, or practice that systematically harms, silences, or disempowers individuals, particularly women and marginalized groups. Justice, from a feminist perspective, is not merely the application of law, but the active recognition, redistribution of power, and repair of systemic inequalities. It also emphasizes intersectionality, acknowledging how race, gender, class, and sexuality intersect to shape individuals' experiences of injustice, and something called legal injustice. Just because something's legal doesn't mean it's fair, especially for women. Legal injustice refers to the condition in which the law itself, though formally valid and procedurally applied, contribute to or maintain systemic inequality, exclusion, or oppression. Feminist scholars argue that laws are not neutral, but historically shaped by dominant groups, for example, men, elites, colonizers, and thus often fail to serve the needs and realities of marginalized individuals, particularly women. Epistemic injustice is when women's voices are treated as unreliable. It's not just that women are disbelieved, it's how their credibility is systematically undermined. When a woman reports harassment, people don't start by believing her. They start by questioning her. They ask, are you sure it wasn't a misunderstanding? Why didn't you say something earlier? Is she exaggerating? These questions aren't neutral. They reflect deep-rooted assumptions that women are emotional, irrational, or seeking attention, rather than rational, trustworthy witnesses of their own experiences. And hegemonic norms. Hegemonic norms are the hidden rules in society that decide whose voice matters. Usually, people who sound calm, logical, and professional, often white, male, and educated, are taken more seriously. But if a woman speaks with emotion or shares a personal story, she's often seen as too emotional or unreliable. These norms tell us anger is okay if a man shows it, but scary when a woman does. Logic is respected. Emotion is ignored. Some voices are objective, others are biased. This is unfair because real knowledge doesn't only come from books or experts. It also comes from lived experience. Feminist thinkers say, if we want justice, we must listen to every kind of voice, not just the powerful ones. Everyday injustice is when small things being ignored, interrupted, questioned, tied up into a monster of inequality, being talked over in meetings, being asked, were you drinking after reporting assault, having to justify your anger more than the harm done to you. These aren't just annoyances. They build a culture where women are constantly silenced, interrupted, erased, and when women finally speak up, society freaks out. In 2017, women started whispering two words, Me Too. Then they tweeted it, posted it, shouted it. The internet leaped up. Suddenly, shame shifted. Survivors felt power. Abusers felt exposed. The silence was broken, but it came at a cost. A woman names her abuser online. She doesn't use violence. She uses her voice, and people treat that like an attack. Her words, vulnerable, messy, true, become public weapons in others' eyes. Isn't that a strange kind of fear? Her words become scarier than his actions. That's a double standard. Men commit violence, and we ask what the woman did. Women resist, even with words, and we say they've gone too far. As if dignity should always come with a smile. Let's talk about Amber Heard. Yes, it's complicated.
The end of a 6-week defamation trial that exposed sordid details of a toxic Hollywood marriage.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
The jury backed all 3 of Johnny Depp's claims against his ex-wife, finding Amber Heard had defamed him when she wrote that she was a public figure of domestic abuse. They upheld 1 of Heard's counterclaims. The case has been damaging for both parties, particularly Heard, who faced waves of vitriol and accusations of lying on social media. And it won't stop with her, according to women's rights activists who denounce a misogynist backlash.
It will have a devastating effect on survivors who will be silenced now with the knowledge that they cannot speak about their violent experiences at men's hands without the threat of a ruinous libel suit.
But regardless of who you believe, she was humiliated on a global stage. TikToks mocked her, memes tore her down. Her crying face was meme material. Meanwhile, Johnny Depp walked away to applause. We didn't just doubt her, we laughed at her pain, we made it viral. Or take the women in South Korea who protested spy cam crimes. They wore red cloaks, they stood silently, no yelling, no slogans, just presence. And still, they were labeled too angry, too disruptive, too dangerous. Even when women are quiet, society hears noise. Here's the truth. Anger is human. It signals injustice. It demands response. And women have every right to feel it, show it, and act on it. The question isn't whether women are too angry. It's whether society has made them angry for too long. When your boundaries are crossed every day, rage becomes a form of self-defense. Justice isn't silence, it isn't submission, it's empathy, autonomy, listening, believing, repairing, dismantling systems that protect harm and punish truth-telling. So if a woman shouts for justice and you call her violent, maybe it's time to ask, what does your idea of justice really look like?
A new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again.